A haunting in Hallowed Fields. The wind howled through the desolate landscape, carrying with it the mournful wails of a forgotten past. Hallowed Fields, a small, rural town nestled deep within the heart of the Midwest, had always been known for its idyllic charm. But beneath the veneer of tranquility lay a dark secret, a secret that had haunted the town for generations. The townspeople spoke of the cursed pumpkin patch that lay on the outskirts of Hallowed Fields. No one dared venture near it, for they knew that it was a place where evil dwelled. The Harvest of Despair, as it was ominously named, was a place where nightmares took root, and the past refused to stay buried. The story began in the late 1800s when a man named Jonathan Blackwood, a farmer with a sinister reputation, moved to Hallowed Fields. He was a recluse who rarely spoke to anyone and was rumored to have made a pact with the devil himself. As the years passed, Blackwood's farm flourished, but the townspeople grew increasingly wary of him. One fateful autumn, Blackwood's pumpkin patch bore an eerie crop, pumpkins that seemed to pulse with malevolence. They were darker in hue, with deep, menacing grooves, and a sinister glow that could be seen even in the dead of night. The townspeople whispered of dark rituals performed in the patch, of blood sacrifices offered to ensure a bountiful harvest. But it was on Halloween night that the true horror unfolded. A blood-red moon hung low in the sky, casting an otherworldly pallor over Hallowed Fields. A group of brave souls, fueled by liquid courage, decided to confront Blackwood and his cursed patch once and for all. They arrived at the pumpkin patch just as the moon reached its zenith. The air grew thick with a palpable malevolence, and a sense of impending doom hung heavy in the night. As they entered the patch, the very ground beneath them seemed to squirm and writhe, as if it were alive. Blackwood, dressed in tattered robes, stood at the center of the patch, surrounded by grotesque pumpkin creatures that moved with a life of their own. His eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and his voice carried an eerie resonance that sent shivers down the spines of the intruders. "You dared to disturb me on this sacred night?" Blackwood's voice echoed through the pumpkin patch. "You shall pay the price for your audacity." As if in response, the cursed pumpkins sprang to life, their jagged teeth glistening in the moonlight. They descended upon the intruders with a voracious hunger, tearing flesh from bone. The screams of terror and agony filled the night, but Blackwood only laughed, his laughter echoing through the fields. When the sun rose on Hallowed Fields, all that remained of the intruders were tattered clothes and dried bloodstains. The cursed pumpkins had returned to their lifeless state, and Blackwood had vanished without a trace. The townspeople were left to mourn their lost loved ones and to live in fear of the malevolent patch. Years turned into decades, and the memory of that horrific night faded, but the curse of the pumpkin patch endured. Every Halloween, a new generation of townspeople would hear the whispers of the past, and some would dare to venture into the patch, never to return. In the present day, as Halloween approached once again, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to explore the infamous Harvest of Despair. Armed with flashlights and courage, they entered the patch, unaware of the terror that awaited them. The moon, as red as the blood that had stained the patch so long ago, cast an eerie glow over the field. The pumpkins, just as malevolent as ever, seemed to watch with sinister intent. The teenagers made their way deeper into the patch, their heartbeats quickening with every step. As they reached the heart of the patch, they discovered an ancient, decrepit scarecrow, its straw-stuffed body swaying in the breeze. Its empty eye sockets seemed to follow them, and a feeling of dread settled over the group. Suddenly, the scarecrow came to life, its limbs creaking and cracking as it moved. With a grotesque smile carved into its face, it extended its withered arms toward the teenagers. Panic gripped them, and they tried to flee, but the pumpkin creatures, as if awakened by the scarecrow's malevolence, closed in on them. The teenagers screamed as they were overwhelmed by the relentless onslaught of the cursed pumpkins. Their flashlights flickered and died, leaving them in darkness, surrounded by the malevolent pumpkins and the maleficent scarecrow. In the distance, the ghostly figure of Jonathan Blackwood appeared, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "You dare to disturb my patch," he hissed, his voice carrying through the night. And so, The curse of the Harvest of Despair continued, claiming new victims each Halloween night. Hallowed Fields remained a town shrouded in darkness, its haunted past forever etched into the cursed soil of the pumpkin patch. As long as the moon turned red on All Hallows' Eve, the malevolence of the patch would endure, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked beneath the surface of this seemingly peaceful town. Years passed since the night of the ill-fated teenagers, and the curse of the Harvest of Despair remained as potent as ever. The townspeople had learned to live with the chilling presence that lurked at the edge of Hallowed Fields, but they couldn't forget the horrors that had unfolded within the cursed patch. In the autumn that followed, whispers of an ancient tome surfaced, said to hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of the malevolent pumpkin patch. This grim revelation stirred the curiosity of one individual, Eleanor Thornwood. She was a historian with a penchant for the macabre, and the legend of the Harvest of Despair had captivated her. Determined to unravel the secrets buried beneath the patch's cursed soil, Eleanor delved deep into the town's archives and unearthed clues about the Blackwood family's dark past. It was rumored that an ancestor of Jonathan Blackwood, a sinister warlock, had written the cursed tome that was said to be the source of the patch's malevolence. The tome, known as the Codex of Shadows, contained forbidden knowledge of dark rituals and necromancy. Eleanor's research led her to believe that the key to breaking the curse might lie within its pages. However, the Codex had been lost to time, hidden away in an unholy vault deep beneath the earth. Determined and undeterred by the ominous warnings of the townspeople, Eleanor embarked on a treacherous journey to recover the Codex of Shadows. Armed with ancient incantations and protective charms, she ventured into the pumpkin patch on the eve of Halloween, when the malevolence within it reached its zenith. As Eleanor descended into the cursed earth, the very ground seemed to swallow her, pulling her deeper into the abyss. The air grew frigid, and whispers of the damned echoed in the darkness. She navigated through twisting tunnels, each more sinister than the last, until she reached a cavernous chamber bathed in an eerie, crimson light. At the center of the chamber, encased in a glass coffin, lay the Codex of Shadows. It pulsed with a malevolent energy, and Eleanor knew that obtaining it would come at a great cost. With trembling hands, she lifted the lid and began to recite incantations meant to break the curse. But the moment the first words left her lips, the ground shook, and the chamber filled with a cacophony of wailing souls. The ghostly figure of Jonathan Blackwood materialized before her, his eyes ablaze with fury. "You dare to defile my legacy," he hissed. Eleanor pressed on, her voice unwavering, reciting the incantation as the Codex of Shadows trembled in response. The very earth itself seemed to rebel against her, but she was determined to succeed where so many had failed. As the final words of the incantation left her lips, a blinding light erupted from the Codex, banishing the malevolent spirits that had haunted the patch for generations. The ground quaked once more, and Eleanor was thrown to the ground, her vision obscured by a blinding flash. When she awoke, she found herself outside the pumpkin patch, the Codex of Shadows clutched in her trembling hands. The malevolence that had once permeated the cursed patch was gone, replaced by an eerie stillness. Hallowed Fields breathed a collective sigh of relief as the curse that had plagued them for so long had been broken. The pumpkin patch, once a place of unspeakable horrors, began to flourish with vibrant, healthy pumpkins, free from the taint of evil. Eleanor Thornwood, hailed as a hero by the townspeople, had brought peace to Hallowed Fields at long last. But as she looked upon the Codex of Shadows, she knew that the darkness it contained must be sealed away forever. With the help of the townspeople, she sealed the accursed tome in a lead-lined chest and buried it deep within the earth, far from the reach of mortal hands. As the years passed, Hallowed Fields transformed into a town free from the shadow of the Harvest of Despair. The cursed pumpkin patch became a place of celebration, with families visiting every Halloween to pick pumpkins and carve jack-o'-lanterns. But Eleanor Thornwood, forever haunted by the knowledge of the darkness that had once resided in Hallowed Fields, remained vigilant, knowing that some secrets were better left buried. The legacy of Jonathan Blackwood and the Codex of Shadows had been banished, but the scars of the past would never truly fade, a reminder that evil could lurk in the most unexpected of places. Years turned into decades, and Hallowed Fields continued to thrive, free from the malevolence that had once haunted its pumpkin patch. Families carved jack-o'-lanterns, and children played amidst the bountiful pumpkins, unaware of the dark history that had once shrouded their town. Eleanor Thornwood, now an elderly woman, had never forgotten the horrors she had witnessed in her quest to break the curse. She had spent her life in diligent research, uncovering forgotten secrets and guarding against the resurgence of the darkness that had plagued her town. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the pumpkin patch, Eleanor received an unexpected visitor. A young woman named Eliza approached her, her eyes filled with trepidation. "Miss Thornwood," Eliza began, "I've heard the stories about the cursed pumpkin patch, about how you broke the curse with the Codex of Shadows." Eleanor regarded her with a knowing look. "What brings you here, child?" Eliza hesitated, then spoke of a troubling vision that had haunted her dreams. In her dreams, she saw the Codex of Shadows stirring, its malevolence seeping back into the pumpkin patch. Terrified that the curse might return, she had sought out the one person who might help her prevent such a catastrophe, Eleanor Thornwood. Eleanor's heart sank. She knew that the Codex of Shadows, though buried deep within the earth, had the power to return if the right conditions were met. The malevolent spirits, once banished, could seek a way back into the world. Together, Eleanor and Eliza embarked on a mission to ensure that the darkness would never return to Hallowed Fields. Armed with knowledge and determination, they journeyed to the hidden burial site of the Codex of Shadows. But when they arrived, they found the earth disturbed and the chest containing the tome missing. Panic gripped them both as they realized that someone had unearthed the cursed codex. The malevolence that had been locked away for so long threatened to escape once more. Desperate to prevent disaster, Eleanor and Eliza sought the help of the townspeople. Together, they formed a circle around the now empty burial site, and Eleanor began to chant protective incantations passed down through generations. Eliza, her voice trembling, recited the same incantations. As they chanted, the ground trembled, and the very air seemed to vibrate with an unnatural force. The spirits that had once dwelled in the cursed pumpkin patch, sensing an opportunity to return, clawed at the earth. But the protective circle held firm, keeping them at bay. The Codex of Shadows, sensing that it could not escape its prison, released a final, deafening wail of despair. With a brilliant burst of light, it disintegrated into dust, its dark knowledge forever banished. The townspeople let out a collective sigh of relief, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of the jack-o'-lanterns that now adorned the pumpkin patch. The curse had been thwarted once and for all. Eleanor and Eliza, their mission fulfilled, watched as the cursed patch transformed into a place of joy and celebration once more. The darkness that had plagued Hallowed Fields for generations was now nothing more than a distant memory. As the years passed, Eleanor shared the story of their triumph with the younger generations, ensuring that the lessons learned from the past would never be forgotten. The legacy of the harvest of despair had been transformed from one of horror to one of resilience and unity. And so, Hallowed Fields continued to thrive, its pumpkin patch a symbol of the town's strength in the face of darkness. The curse had been broken, but the memory of the shadows that had once lingered there served as a reminder that even in the face of the most malevolent of forces, there was always hope for redemption and renewal.